What is good? My name is Mike Osterman. I've been riding and designing freestyle skateboards since I was 16 years old. And in all the time since I started riding skateboards, I've gotten one question more than any other. Does this truck fit my skateboard? So if you are a new freestyle skateboarder, if you're a street skateboarder setting up a freestyle board, or if you're just a nerd like me, this video is for you. I'll be breaking down the differences between standard skateboard trucks and freestyle trucks, and helping you figure out what size truck to buy depending on the skateboard deck that you're riding. Now, skateboard trucks are those aluminum pieces that go on the bottom of your skateboard that connect the bearings and wheels to the deck, and they're essential for turning and carving on a skateboard. Trucks are usually sold in pairs, and they come in a variety of styles, heights, widths, and colors depending on the skater's preference. Most trucks for freestyle or street skateboarding have the same parts. You've got the base plate, kingpin, hanger, axle, axle nut, bushings, pivot cup, bearing washers or speed rings, and the kingpin nut. Now, for the purposes of this video, we're going to mainly focus on the hanger size, the axle size, and the bushings. As a general rule, when you're setting up a street skateboard, you want trucks that are the same width as your deck. When setting up a freestyle complete, you want trucks that are slightly narrower than your deck. For example, I skate an 8-inch freestyle deck with 7.75-inch trucks. And here's why. This is a freestyle wheel, and I've made tons of videos about the differences between street skateboard wheels and freestyle wheels. I've talked about these specific Waltz freestyle wheels in a dozen videos. You don't need to hear about that. But for everybody who's new to the channel right now, freestyle skateboard wheels are offset. That's to say that the bearing seat sits slightly to one side of the wheel. While street wheels leave your axles exposed, freestyle wheels cover your axles and provide a better platform for rail stands. But notice they also stick out past the edge of your axle. So, if I use 8-inch trucks with freestyle wheels on my 8-inch deck, the truck and wheel combination will be too wide and I'll be super unstable in rail stands. Which brings me to rule number 1. When setting up a board for freestyle, you want to choose a truck that's one size or 1/4 inch narrower than the deck. For example, if you're skating an 8.5-inch deck with freestyle wheels, you want trucks that are 8.25 inches wide. I got confused for a second there. It's not a perfect rule, and there are exceptions to this rule because not every wheel is the same size and not all boards and trucks grow or shrink in 1/4 inch increments. A better tool, in my opinion, for determining what size trucks to ride with your deck is to use the hanger plus wheels plus washers equation. And before I get into this, I want to make it clear that this only applies to side set wheels. That means wheels like Waltz wheels that have bearings pushed all the way to one side of the wheel. I think this also applies to like mode freestyle wheels. I don't know of any other brands that have perfectly side set freestyle wheels off the top of my head. But Discord, go to the Discord, baby. They got a lot of people on there who will talk about this. Okay, so we're talking about the second rule that I use for figuring out the right truck size for your deck. I like to think about my board in two parts, the deck and the undercarriage. The undercarriage, when I say that, I'm talking about the wheels, the truck hanger, and the washers that you have behind your wheels. To get a board that feels good in rail stand, I like to have an undercarriage that is between 1/10 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch narrower than the deck. And to find that number, you're gonna have to do some math. You're gonna add up the size of the hanger of your truck, that's this section right here, the width of your wheels, so the size this way of your wheels, and the width of however many washers you have behind your wheels. I'm running 0 washers right now. Some people ride 4 washers behind each wheel. That's totally up to you. I'm riding Ace 11s. These trucks have a 4.6-inch hanger. You're gonna take the wheel size. The wheels I'm riding are from Waltz Skateboarding. They're the Deep Space Explorers. These and every other wheel at Waltz Skateboarding right now is 36 millimeters wide, and they're side set. So I'm gonna add whatever 4.6 inches is in millimeters to 36 plus 36, plus I have 0 washers, and I think I'm gonna get 7.43 or something like that. That is right in that sweet spot. It's just a little bit narrower than the deck. It's just enough that the board doesn't feel out of balance in rail stands. It feels like I can coconut wheelie comfortably, I can rail stand comfortably, I can do all my flips the way I like them. Be aware that when you're doing this equation, when you're adding the undercarriage numbers up, you're gonna have to convert from inches to millimeters. If you have an iPhone or a smartphone, you can usually just ask the smartphone to convert for you. I do it all the time. It's easy. Don't be scared of numbers. Oh, and one more thing. I mentioned that I don't have any bearing washers behind my wheels. That's because I don't need any. I'm riding Ace 11s. The shape of Ace trucks just allows me to not have to use any washers, but you can use washers to actually increase that number just by a smidge. So if you're a little ways off and you like to have your trucks and wheels a little bit wider, you can kind of tune your setup to feel different in rail stands by adding or removing speed rings or bearing washers from your trucks. In addition to customizing their trucks with extra washers, freestylers also customize the bushings on their trucks. We like to have extremely stable trucks, and that requires swapping out the bushings. I like to ride 98 or 100A bushings. Those are like the super hard ones. Now, an extremely stable truck is going to make it a lot harder to lean, turn, and carve on your board, but it's also going to allow you to do easier rail stands. It's going to make things like walk the dogs much easier to balance, in my opinion. And it also makes a lot of pressure flip tricks a lot easier to kind of bounce. Now, I've been working on projects with Waltz Skateboarding since 2016, and since the beginning, our goal has been to make freestyle more fun. And for a lot of people, that means spending less time thinking about what they're riding and spending more time actually riding. If that sounds like you, at Waltz Skateboarding, we have freestyle completes available in all of our sizes, so you can actually just pick up a fully complete, assembled, ready-to-ride skateboard. You don't have to think about all of these numbers. If you are into this, and that's totally okay, you can check out the Waltz Discord, where there are a bunch of other freestylers like me hanging out. We like to discuss stuff like this, talk about what board we're skating, talk about what works, what doesn't work. There's a lot to learn, and there's a lot more to this than just what I broke down in this video. But I hope this gives you a good starting point. If you have questions that I haven't answered, leave them in the comments below or ask on the Discord, and we will all try to help. But thanks for watching. Keep dancing, keep being good to each other, and we'll see you in the next video.